The hum of the ceiling fan barely masked the tension inside the packed courtroom. Reporters leaned forward in their seats, cameras silently aimed, their red recording lights blinking like a warning beacon. The air felt thick, as though everyone was breathing through cloth, waiting for the moment that was about to change everything. At the defense table sat Officer Daniel Mercer, a 42-year-old veteran of the Riverbend Police Department. His graying buzzcut and stocky frame made him look like the picture of discipline. But his hands, clasped tightly in front of him, betrayed a tremor. Across the aisle, the prosecution's team was cool, collected, deliberate. Take a moment to subscribe to True Crime Uncovered, as we always uncover every hidden crimes. The judge raised a hand, signaling for silence. "Proceed," she instructed. The prosecutor, a tall black man named Marcus Hayes, rose slowly from his chair. He had been building toward this moment for weeks. The entire trial had been a slow drip of documents, testimonies, and cross-examinations. But this was different. This was the fire. He approached the center of the courtroom with a phone in one hand and a stack of transcripts in the other. The jurors, 12 ordinary citizens plucked from the community, straightened instinctively in their chairs. Some of them already knew. Rumors had leaked in the press about secret audio. But no one, not even Mercer's defense attorney, knew the full scope of what was about to play. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus said, his voice steady but electric, "what you are about to hear is not speculation. It is not bias. It is not spin. These are the words of the man sitting right there at the defense table, words caught on his own body-worn camera." He pressed a button. The audio filled the courtroom. At first, it was nothing remarkable. Radio chatter, the hum of a car engine, the sound of gravel underfoot. Then it came. Mercer's voice, sharp and disdainful, cutting through the static. "Why are we even wasting time here? These people don't belong in this neighborhood. Always causing trouble, always playing the victim. One day we'll clean them out." Gasps spread through the gallery like a wave. A woman in the second row covered her mouth, whispering, "My God!" One juror shook his head, eyes wide, while another looked down, visibly uncomfortable. The defense attorney jumped up. "Objection!" he shouted. "This is highly prejudicial." The judge didn't blink. "Overruled. The jury will hear the evidence." Mercer sat motionless, his jaw tight. For the first time in weeks, his mask cracked. His wife, seated behind him in the gallery, reached forward as if to touch his shoulder, but froze when Mercer refused to turn around. Outside the courthouse, news vans lined the streets. Protesters held signs, "Justice for Riverbend," "End racist policing," "Body cams don't lie." Some carried photos of the young black man whose arrest had sparked this trial, 22-year-old Jamal Whitaker. Jamal wasn't in the courtroom. He was in the hospital, still recovering from injuries sustained the night Mercer detained him. Broken ribs, a concussion, a long scar down his cheek. And until now, it had been Mercer's word against Jamal's. But the audio changed everything. Reporters swarmed Jamal's family as they arrived. His mother, Denise, wore a simple black dress, her face lined with exhaustion. She had sat through every minute of testimony, hands folded tightly in her lap. But today her eyes carried something new, vindication. "They called my son a liar," she told one reporter. "They called him a criminal. But now, everyone can hear the truth for themselves." Inside, Marcus pressed play again. The audio continued. Mercer's voice sneered. "We'll teach him a lesson. They don't respect authority. Maybe a little pain will make them think twice." The courtroom erupted. Some in the gallery shouted in anger, others sobbed. The judge slammed her gavel. "Order! Order in the court!" But there was no containing the energy. The words had landed like a thunderclap, impossible to ignore. The defense attorney tried to spin. He argued Mercer's words were taken out of context, that officers often vent frustrations, that the audio didn't prove intent. But Marcus was relentless. He pulled up the transcript. Line by line, word by word, he built the narrative. Mercer's disdain wasn't isolated. It was a pattern. Outside the courtroom, Neighbors from Mercer's own street whispered about the man they thought they knew. Some remembered block parties where Mercer played the role of friendly cop, grilling burgers, laughing with kids. Others remembered his temper, the way he snapped when someone parked in the wrong spot, the way his jokes about those people never sounded like jokes at all. On the stand, Jamal's friend Sean recounted the night of the arrest. "He slammed him on the hood," Sean said, voice breaking. "We begged him to stop. Jamal wasn't fighting, he wasn't resisting. He just kept saying, 'Why are you doing this to me?' And Mercer, he just kept hitting." The defense tried to undermine Sean, pointing out his juvenile record, his past mistakes. But the jury wasn't buying it. Not after hearing Mercer's own words. The trial stretched on. Experts testified about police procedures, body cam protocols, the history of excessive force complaints in Riverbend. The defense painted Mercer as a decorated officer with years of service, a man under pressure who made mistakes. But Marcus countered with meticulous detail. He laid out complaint after complaint, case after case, all dismissed, all buried. Until now, the verdict loomed. For days, the city buzzed with tension. Would Mercer walk free like so many before him? Or would this be the moment accountability finally cracked through the shield? When the jury returned, the courtroom stilled. Mercer stood, his face pale. The foreman cleared his throat. "We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of assault under color of law, guilty of falsifying reports, guilty of misconduct." The gallery erupted. Cheers, sobs, shouts of relief. Denise buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking with tears. Jamal, frail but upright, stood and embraced her. For the first time since the night of his arrest, he smiled. The judge's voice was firm. "Officer Mercer, you have disgraced your badge, your department, and your community. You are hereby sentenced to 15 years in federal prison." The gavel struck like a hammer, final and sharp. Reporters swarmed the courthouse steps as Marcus addressed the crowd. "This is not just a victory for Jamal," he said. "This is a victory for every voice silenced, every truth ignored. The system works only when we demand it. And today you demanded it." Mercer was led out in shackles, his eyes downcast, his once proud stride broken. His wife wept silently, clutching her purse like a lifeline. The protesters outside cheered, their chants echoing into the night. But long after the cameras left and the crowds dispersed, the story lingered. Neighbors talked about how easy it was to miss the warning signs, how prejudice can hide behind a smile, how power can corrupt when unchecked. Parents told their children what happened in that courtroom, teaching them to demand fairness, to stand tall in the face of injustice. And Jamal, though scarred, began to rebuild. He returned to college. He spoke at rallies. His story spread beyond Riverbend, beyond Texas, into the national conversation about race, power, and justice. The lesson was simple, but it echoed louder than the gavel. Truth doesn't stay buried forever. And when it comes to light, it changes everything. So the next time someone tries to silence a voice, dismiss a story, bury the truth, remember what happened in that courtroom. Remember how one recording, one voice, one truth changed the fate of a man, and reminded a community that justice, though delayed, can still be delivered. And if you believe more stories like this need to be told, don't just watch. Subscribe, because silence lets injustice thrive. But your voice, your click, your share, makes sure the truth is never ignored again.